Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov, today one of the most famous and sought after coaches in Russia, who brought up a huge number of titled fighters, the brightest of which is his own son Khabib Nurmagomedov. Abdulmanap is a master of sports of the USSR in freestyle wrestling and has the title of honored coach of Russia. At the moment, Abdulmanap is on life support and again in a coma less than 1 week after emerging from a medically induced coma and showing signs of improvement. Very saddened upon hearing this news. My thoughts are with the Nurmagomedov family at this time, hoping for a good recovery. I made a video before about the superhero backstory of Khabib Nurmagomedov. Here is the part where I talk about the importance of the relationship with his father. For those who would like to see the full backstory, check the link in the description. Perhaps it's in my genes because my father is an accomplished athlete as well. Fighting is definitely in Khabib's genes. Early in Khabib's life, his family moved to another village in Dagestan called Caraval, where his father converted the ground floor of their 2-story building into a gym. Nurmagomedov grew up in the household with his siblings and cousins. His interest in martial arts began when watching students training at the gym. Without a doubt, Khabib's father Abdulmanap is the most important person in Khabib's MMA career. He's a decorated athlete, he's a judo black belt, Ukrainian national sambo champion and Dagestani national champion in freestyle wrestling. This stamped him as one of the renowned wrestlers of his era. Oh, and he's also a veteran of the army. As the years went by, Abdulmanap transitioned from an active competitor to a dedicated coach. Though mixed martial arts was never the plan that Abdulmanap had for his son. It was a sport that few understood during the time in Dagestan and even fewer ventured to experiment with in the United States. In fact, he didn't want his son near professional sports. He wanted him to study and find success outside of athletic competition. There was little he can do though to stop him. Khabib's mind was made up. He was gonna be a fighter. As Khabib says, "My father wanted me to study and I wanted to become a professional athlete. He and I always had a misunderstanding over this issue, but my father eventually realized that I had a gift for fighting and he started training me to become the world's best." As is common with many children in Dagestan, Khabib began wrestling from an early age. He started at the age of 8. Parents expected children to defend themselves and saw grappling as an effective tool to instill discipline. Abdulmanap believed it was instrumental that children were taught the importance of discipline through sports and encouraged confidence-building mechanisms by introducing combat sports at a young age. He was a firm believer in training children in martial arts and wrestling, largely as a tool to prepare them for the imminent onset of conflict. Abdulmanap is regarded as the father of MMA in Dagestan. He has produced 20 or more combat sambo champions and at least 4 or more have come to the UFC. Abdulmanap is currently a senior coach for the combat sambo national team in the Republic of Dagestan, training several athletes in sambo in Russia. Khabib's training as a child included wrestling a bear when he was 9 years old. That's some superhero stuff right there. When defeating Abel Trujillo, Khabib celebrated emotionally with his corner, but they were missing an instrumental figure from the team. One who had never seen him perform in the octagon up front, but had spent nearly half of his own life preparing Khabib for this stage. His father. The reason is simple. Abdulmanap can't get a US visa and he is not allowed to enter the country to be at Khabib's fights. There is no official and confirmed information on why Khabib's father is no longer allowed in the United States. According to Abdulmanap himself, he thinks it has something to do with him carrying the Russian flag at UFC 208. Khabib's father walked into the octagon with 2 Russian flags despite a message from the UFC not to do such a thing. At the time, it was a sensitive political topic with Russia's ongoing military crisis in Ukraine. Since then, Abdulmanap has tried to apply for a new visa multiple times, but his visa application was never approved. At least Abdulmanap was able to support and be with Khabib at UFC 242 in Abu Dhabi. It was the first time in Khabib's 12 UFC fights when his father was able to be there. No wonder he's asking to fight next in Russia or elsewhere, not in the USA. In the post-fight interview, Khabib said, "My main motivation is my father. He invested a lot of time into me. He brought me up and made a man out of me. And his happy face after the fight is the best reward for me. I cannot let him down." Well guys, I hope you liked the video. I had a lot of fun diving into Khabib's backstory. I felt I get to know him a lot more. Well, I'm just a huge fan of MMA who likes to share his passion for it. Also a fan of MMA? Then subscribe for some more coming content. See us later. Chalas!